I have the fun job of doing the housekeeping because we have to do it. Someone has to do it. In the event of a fire, myself and the other members of the committee, who will be sitting in those seats there, will then direct you either out that door or that door. The door you came through will be closed momentarily for immersion because the light will come in. Hopefully the show will go off without a hitch and we won't have any injuries. If it does, the show will be stopped and the first aider, who is me, will attend to any injuries and if needed, we will ask you to leave the auditorium if we think that there's going to be a reason. We've had no concussions in this show, like our last one, where we had someone get a concussion 5 minutes before the show, and we had to improvise the whole thing. So,
We?
Sorry?
We?
Well, yeah. So, thank you very much for coming. Are the casts set?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Kicked out of the room.
I hope you enjoy Witness to the Prosecution. Whoa. Apparently I'm waiting 2 minutes.
Sorry, 2 people have just come.
I've just realised I've missed something. Can I have a spotlight? Fantastic. So, also, we have 2 jury seats unaccounted for. It would be nice if we had a couple members of the audience.
You don't have to do anything.
You don't do anything, you just sit in a different seat.
Feel a bit more special.
And you get a light on you every now and again.
Yeah.
Yeah? Fantastic.
I don't know.
That wasn't me.
And then one of them back there. Cool. Fair enough. We can
One more
work.
person?
Anyone?
Yeah.
We can. There you go. We have one more person. I'll wait for the thumbs up from the treasurer. Here she comes to get in her seat. Thank you very much for coming again. You can't work hard for this. And I will pass it on to them. Oh. Well, I'm going to stand outside for a second to make sure he gets back in afterwards. But I'll then be back sitting over there. So enjoy the prosecution. I'm talking we're going to have to start. So enjoy and I'll see you shortly.
Sir Wilfrid Roberts Chambers. Oh, it's you, Charles. No, Sir Wilfrid's son, Court. Yes, on the Shuttleworth case. He's been given judgment on close for 2 hours now. What? No, I couldn't possibly be. There's not an earthly in this evening. No, I could give you an appointment tomorrow. No, you see, I'm expecting Mayhew and Brinslow, you know, any moment now. Well, so long.
Shall I make the tea, Mr. Carter?
It's hardly time yet, Greta.
It is by my watch.
And your watch must be wrong.
I put it right by the radio.
And the radio must be wrong.
Not the radio, Mr. Carter, that couldn't be wrong.
This watch was my father's, for the gains nor losers. You don't make watches like that nowadays. And your writing, it's terrible. Seriously, you've missed out a word.
Okay, just one word, anyone might do that.
The word you've missed out is the word not. The omission of it entirely alters the sense.
It's kind of funny when you come to think of it.
It is not in the least funny. Do it again. Now, you may remember I told you about the celebrated case of Bryant and Horsfall, a case of a will and a trust fund entirely owing to a piece of careless copying by a clerk.
The wrong wife got the money, I remember.
A woman divorced 15 years previously, completely ignorant of the will of the testator, as his lordship himself admitted. But the wording had to stand, they couldn't do anything about it.
I think that's rather funny too.
Council's chambers are no place to be funny in. The law, Greta, is a serious business which should treat it recording them.
You wouldn't think so to hear some of the jokes judges make.
Those jokes are prerogative to the bench.
And I'm always reading the paper about laughter in court.
If that's not caused by one of the judge's remarks, I think you'll soon find he'll have the court cleared.
You know what I read the other day, Mr. Carter? The law's an arse. I'm not being rude, it's a quotation.
A quotation of a facetious nature, hardly meant to be taken seriously. You can make the tea now, Greta.
Thank you.
Now, I'm expecting Mayhew of Mayhew and Bristol any moment now. I also expect a Mr. Leonard Vole, though they may come together or separately.
Leonard Vole? What? That's the name from the paper.
The tea.
He's asked to communicate with the police as he might be able to give them useful information.
The tea, Greta. Thank you. Girls nowadays, sensational, inaccurate. What's the Chambers coming to?
Mr. Mayhew?
Sit down, Mr. Vole. Good afternoon, Carter.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayhew, Sir Wilfrid Silvercourt. Though you'd never tell Mr. Switch's banter, I'll head straight over to the roving room and tell me you're here
With Mr. Leonard Vole, thank you, Carter. Sorry for arriving on such short notice, but the timing in this case is rather urgent.
How's the lumbago?
Ah, I can only feel it when the wind's in these. Thank you for remembering, Mr. Mayhew.
Sit down, Mr. Vole.
Thanks, but I'd rather walk about. It's just this sort of thing, it makes you feel a bit jumpy.
Yes, I suppose one might feel like that.
Oh, who's this?
Would you care for a cup of tea, Mr. Mayhew?
Thanks, don't mind if I...
No, thank you.
Sorry. What I mean is, I can't believe it's me this is all happening to. I keep thinking perhaps it's just a dream and I'll wake up presently.
Yes, I've seen it all before.
What I mean is, it seems so silly.
Silly, Mr. Vole?
Yeah, you see, I've always been a friendly sort of chap. I get on with people and all that. I'm never the sort of fella that does, well, anything violent. But I mean, it's all right, ain't it? Because you don't get convicted for things you ain't done in this country, do you?
Our English judicial system is, in my opinion, the finest in the world.
Of course. Well, there was that case of, what was his name? Adolf Beck. I read about it only the other day. After he'd been in prison years, they found out it was another chap called Smith. They gave him a free pardon then. That's the thing what seems odd to me. Giving you a pardon for something you ain't done.
Is the necessary legal term?
Yeah, well, it don't seem right to me.
Well, the important thing with that case is that it was set at liberty.
Yeah, it were fine for him. But if he'd been murdered now, if he'd been murdered, it'd have been too late, he'd have been hanged.
Mr. Vole, there's no need to take such a morbid point of view.
I'm sorry, sir, but you see, in a way, I'm rather getting a wind-up.
Just don't worry about it, Mr. Vole.
Sir Wilfrid Roberts will be here soon. I want you to tell your story exactly as you told it to me.
Yes, sir.
But in the meantime, let's fill about a bit of background report.
You are, as I understand, out of a job?
Yeah, but I've got a few pound put by. It's not much, but if you can see your way.
I'm not thinking of legal fees, I'm just trying to get a bit of background. How long have you been unemployed?
About a couple of months.
And what were you doing before that?
I worked in a motor servicing firm, kind of mechanic. That's what I was.
How long did you work there for?
About 3 months.
Were you discharged?
No, I wasn't. I quit. I had worked with a foreman. Proper old. That is, he were a mean sort of chap. Always picking on you.
And before that?
I worked at a petrol station, but things got a bit awkward and I left.
Awkward in what way?
Well, the boss's daughter, she were only a kid, and she developed a sort of fancy for me. Nah, don't get me wrong, there was nothing that shouldn't have been between us, but the old man got fed up and said I'd better go. He was quite nice about it and gave me a good chip, and before that, I was selling egg beaters on commission.
Indeed.
And a rotten job they were and all. I could have invented a better egg beater myself. Oh, sorry. You're thinking I'm a bit of a drifter, sir. It's true in a way, but I'm not really like that. It's doing my army service what unsettled me a bit, that and being abroad. I were in Germany, it were fine there. That's where I met my wife. She's an actress. But ever since I come back to this country, I can't seem somehow to settle down properly. I suppose it's that I don't know quite what it is I want to do yet. I like working on cars best. I'm thinking up new gadgets for them. That's interesting, that is. And you see, recently I've invented this new gadget, a windscreen wiper that works in snow. And...
Here comes Sir Wilfrid right now.
Hello, John.
Hello, Wilfrid.
Carter told you I was in court. Banter really surpassed himself. And this is Mr. Vole.
This is Leonard Vole.
how'd you do, sir?
How do you do, Vole? Sit down. How's the family, John?
Oh, Molly's got a case of the 24-hour flow.
Oh, that is too bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. Did you win your case, Wilfred?
Yes, I'm glad to say.
It gives you satisfaction to beat Myers now, doesn't it?
It gives me satisfaction to beat anyone,
But especially Myers.
especially Myers. He's an irritating gentleman. He always seems to bring out the worst in me.
You and him both. You irritate him to the point that he never ever finishes a sentence.
He irritates me because of that mannerism of his. It's this drives me to distraction. And you'll call me robot. Robot. But he's a very able advocate. If only he remembered not to ask such leading questions when he knows damn well he shouldn't. But let's get down to business.
Yes, well, I brought Mr. Leonard Ball here because I'm anxious for you to hear his story exactly as he told it to me.
Oh,
Well, you see, my wife, she thinks I'm going to be arrested. She's much cleverer than I am, so she might be right.
arrested for what?
For murder.
It's the case of Miss Emily French. You've probably seen it in the reports.
Yes.
She was a lone widow living but for an elderly housekeeper in Hampstead. On the night of October the 14th at 11 o'clock, her housekeeper returned home to find Peter had seemingly broken into, and that her mistress had been coshed on the back of the head and killed. That is right, isn't it?
That's right, and it's an ordinary sort of thing to happen nowadays. And then, I read in the paper a few days later, the police were anxious to interview a Mr. Leonard Vole, who visited Miss French earlier on the evening in question, and who might be able to give them some useful information. So, of course, I went along to the police station, and they asked me a lot of questions.
Did they caution you?
I don't quite know. They said, would I like to make a statement, they'd write it down, and that it might be used in court. Is that cautioning me?
Oh well, can't be helped now.
Anyways, it all sounded damn silly to me. But I told them all I could and they wrote it down. They were very polite about it and seemed satisfied and all that. But when I got home and told Romaine, my wife that is, well, she seemed to think that they got hold of the idea that I might have done it. So I thought I ought to speak to a solicitor. So I came along to you.
You
And I
knew,
thought you'd be able to tell me what I ought to do about it.
you knew Miss French well?
Yeah, she'd been frightfully kind to me. And actually, it was a bit of a bore at times. She positively fussed over me, but she meant well by it. So when I saw in the paper she'd been killed, well, I got awfully upset, because you see, I got really fond of her.
Tell Sir Wilfrid just as you told me how you came to make Miss French's acquaintance.
Well, it was one day in Oxford Street. I saw the old lady crossing the road carrying a load of parcels. In the middle of the street, she dropped them, tried to get hold of them again, and found a bus nearly on top of her. Gosh, she just got to the curb safely. Well, I went and recovered these parcels, wiped the mud off them as best as I could, and tied one up again that had burst open with string. I generally suit the old dear Dan, that sort of thing.
And she was grateful.
Oh, she seemed very grateful. She thanked me a lot and all that. Anyone I'd think I saved her life instead of her parcels.
So there was no reason to believe that you were not successful in saving her life?
No, nothing heroic. I never expected to see that woman again. But by extraordinary coincidence, I was sitting behind her at the theatre 2 days later. She turned round, recognised me, and we began to talk. In the end, she asked me if I'd come over and see her.
And you went?
Yeah, she asked me to name a day specially, and it seemed rather churlish to refuse. I said I'd go along the following Saturday.
And you went to her house at...
Hampstead.
Yes.
What did you know about her when you first went to the house?
Well, nothing but what she told me. That she lived alone and didn't have many friends. Something of that kind.
She lived with only a housekeeper.
Well, yeah. She did have 8 cats, though. 8 of them! The house was beautifully furnished, but it stank a bit of cat.
I see.
And then, you see, she talked as though she were rich. And, well, I know I'm practically stony broke, and I have been for months.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It is rather. Do you mean that they'll think I was sucking up to her for her money?
Oh, I shouldn't have put it quite like that, but in essence, yes, that is possible, people might say.
It's not true, you know. As a matter of fact, I felt sorry for her. I thought she was a lonely one. And I like old ladies. She was like my Aunt Betsy.
Sorry, you say old ladies. Do you know how old Miss French was?
Well, I didn't when she was still alive, but I read in the paper after she was killed she was 56.
56. Sorry, you consider that old, Mr. Ball, but I should doubt that Miss Emily French considered herself old.
You can't call it a chicken though, can you?
Right. At least you're honest about it. Can you just tell me a bit more clearly, please?
Well, I went to see her once, twice a week perhaps.
Right.
And I never took my wife to see her.
Why didn't you take her?
Frankly, I don't think it'd have gone down well if I had.
Do you mean with your wife or with Miss French?
With Miss French.
Go on, go on.
You see, she got rather fond of me.
You mean she fell in love with you?
Lord, no, nothing of that kind. She pampered me, spoiled me, that kind of thing. Oh, I know they'll say I was sucking up to her for her money, and I suppose in a way it's true, but only in a way.
Are you aware, Mr. Vole, of Miss Emily French's will to you? I've left it on your report there, Wilfred.
Okay.
No?
It seems you will inherit quite a great deal of money.
Since tonight you can pay for it. The whole of her fortune is left to you.
Left all her money to me? You're joking.
I wish I was joking.
Well, I can hardly believe it.
Sorry, you knew nothing about it.
Nothing. She never said a word.
You're quite sure of that, Mr. Vole?
Absolutely sure. I'm very thankful to her, don't get me wrong, but I rather wish in a way now that she hadn't. It's a bit unfortunate as things are, ain't it, sir?
Quite.
I mean, she did say to her housekeeper once that you're afraid I'll make my will again, but that had nothing to do with me. That was just a bit of a dust-up between them. Do you really think they'll arrest me?
I think you must prepare yourself, Mr. Vole, for that eventuality.
You'll do your best for me, won't you, sir?
Yes, I will try and do my best.
And look after my wife too. She'll be in an awful state. It'll be terrible for her.
You may rest assured that I will do everything in my power to help you and to make sure Mrs. Vole is in safe hands. Leave everything to us.
Well, what about the money? I've only got a few pounds. Perhaps I wasn't Sebastian to do anything for me.
I wouldn't worry about that, Mr. Vole. The court provides for these cases, you know.
I can't believe that Leonard Vole, might be standing in a dock saying not guilty with people staring at me. I can't see why they don't think it were a burglary. Apparently, the window was forced and smashed and things were strewn around. The paper said it seemed more probable.
They must have some reason to think that it was a burglary.
Well, it seems to me that...
Yes, Carter?
Sorry, excuse me, sir. There are two men here to see Mr. Leonard Vole.
The police?
Yes, sir.
My God, is this it?
Alright, well, very well.
I'm afraid it may be, my boy. Now keep your heart in your sleeve, make a move for the statement, and leave it all to us.
Well, how do they know I'm here?
It seems they must have had some man watching us.
Then they really do suspect me.
I'm afraid so, but only time will tell.
Oh, here they come.
Sorry to trouble you, sir.
This is Mr. Vole.
Is your name Leonard Vole?
It is.
I am Detective Inspector Hearn. I have you a warrant for your arrest on a charge of murdering Emily French on October 14 last. I must warn you that anything you say will be taken down and used in evidence.
Okay. I'm ready.
Hello, Inspector Hearn. My name is Mayhew. I'm representing Mr. Vole.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayhew. That's quite alright. We'll take him along and charge him now. Very seasonable weather we're having just now. Quite a frost last night. We'll be seeing you soon, expect, sir. Hope we haven't inconvenienced you, Sir Wilfred.
I'm never inconvenienced. I must say, John, that boy is in a deeper mess than he seems to realise.
Oh, it certainly is.
Extraordinarily naive. Yes, in some ways quite shrewd, but intelligent, I should say. But he really needs to wake up to the realisation that he might be going to prison for a long time.
Do you think he did it?
I don't know, but I shouldn't really say. You agree?
I agree.
There's not much evidence to go on, and the only evidence in his favour seems to be his wife's. And who's going to believe a wife?
It has been known to happen.
She's a foreigner too. 9 out of the 12 in the jury box believe a foreigner is lying anyway. She'll be emotional and upset and will have hysterics all over my chambers. And also the prosecuting counsel will be saying all the stuff to her, and she won't even bloody understand it.
Perhaps you prefer not to accept the brief?
Who says I won't accept it? Just because I point out that the boy's story is completely in tomfool.
But a true one.
It has to be a true one. Couldn't be so idiotic if it was. Oh, yes, Greta?
Mrs. Leonard Vole is here.
Mrs. Vole?
Greta, come here. You saw that young man over there. He's just been arrested for murder.
I know, isn't it exciting?
Do you think he did it?
Oh no, surely not, sir.
But why not?
It's far too cold.
Only 3 of us. Turn Mrs. Vole in. We're probably 3 credulous fools who have taken up such a story.
Yeah.
Mrs. Vole.
My dear Mrs. Vole.
Ah, you understand.
Yes, and this is Sir Wilfred Roberts, who's agreed to handle your husband's keys for him.
How do you do, sir?
How do you do?
Just as I arrived, I thought I saw Leonard getting into a car. Is there 2 men with him?
Now, Mrs. Wall, I do not want you to be upset, okay? May you please take a seat.
Thank you.
As you already suspect, your husband has just been arrested, but please do not upset yourself over this matter.
Oh no, I am not upset.
No, I see that you have great fortitude.
You can go ahead and be mad.
Yes. But the best way to tackle these things is to be calm and reasonable. Correct?
Yes, that is what I am trying to do.
Splendid. Splendid. That's the best way to look at these things. Because look at this in a simple and straightforward matter. You were aware of this friendship that your husband struck up with this French about, what was it, 6 weeks ago?
Yes, 14th.
6 weeks ago, yes.
Yes, he told me that he'd rescued an old lady in her passing in the middle of a crowded street. She had asked him to go see her.
And there was no objection to you for him having to see her?
I do not think I objected, no.
Was there any doubt of you not wanting to come to see her and him?
Lena thought it better not.
Yes, you said the same thing, but just between ourselves, why did he think it better not?
He thought Miss French would prefer it that way.
Right. Mrs. Wall, were you aware of the will that Miss French left to Leonard?
Yes.
I'm guessing you knew this before you read it in the papers or after?
No, I read it in the papers.
I see. And your husband had no awareness of the fact?
Is that what Lena told you?
Well, yes.
That's what it says.
Yes, that is what he has said, yes. And that's, how did that make you feel exactly when you saw that?
Nothing particular, no.
Well, alright, Mrs. Vole. What happened on the night of October 14th? What time did Leonard arrive home from Miss French's place?
Leonard went out at 7:30, and he came back at 9:30 and did not go out again.
You're sure of that?
Yes, that is what I told the police.
That's the truth, is it not?
But of course.
Right. On the night of October the, what was it, 14th? 14th. Leonard Vole was called upon by Miss French to go and see her, and he went, and they played a lovely little game of double demon, was it? Double demon. And they had a lovely time apparently, and then around 9 o'clock, that's when he took leave of her, and he returned home on foot. And then around 25 minutes past 9, that's when he returned home, correct?
Yes. He came home at 9:25.
Right. But at 9:30, the housekeeper, Janet Mackenzie, returned home because she had forgotten something while she was out. And then she claims to have heard two voices, one of being Miss French and another who she claims to be of Leonard Vole. And she heard those two voices in the sitting room door whilst the door was closed on the two occasions that she came in and out of the house. And it is that statement that Inspector Hearn has used to arrest your husband.
On the topic of that, Mrs. Vole, you were the only witness that actually saw Mr. Vole come back on the night, and as such, we may need your testimony in court to help get him off.
Perhaps there was someone who saw him leave Miss French's house, or who saw him on his way home.
Well, your husband cannot think of or remember any one of the sorts.
So it will only be his word, and mine. And
Yes.
mine. Thank you, that is all I
No,
want.
no,
no,
wait a
no,
minute.
no.
Let's go. There's much more to be discussed.
Not by me.
Sorry?
I should have to swear, shall I not? To speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Well, that is the oath you take, yes.
So suppose that when they ask me, when did Leonard Vole come home? I should say,
Well,
there are so many things I could say.
Mrs. Vole, do you love your husband?
Leonard says I do,
And Vole believes so.
but Leonard is not very clever.
You do realise, Mrs. Vole, that you cannot be called up in court to give testimony against your husband if it's damaging.
How very convenient.
But your husband can.
He is not my husband.
What?
Leonard Vole is not my husband. I went through a full marriage with him in Berlin. He took me to this country, he took me out to the Russian zone. He did not know that I had a former husband living at the time.
Sorry, so he got you out of the Russian sector and safely to this country. You should be very grateful to him for that, are you not?
One can get tired of gratitude.
Mrs. Vole, I think we must be absolutely clear with you because your answer has been somewhat ambiguous. What exactly happened on the night of October 14th?
Leonard came home at 9:25 and did not go out again. I have given him an alibi, have I not?
You have. Mrs. Vole,
Yes.
you're a very remarkable woman.
And you are satisfied, I hope?
I'm damned if I'm satisfied.
Alright.
She's up to something, but I can't figure it out.
Yeah, she certainly hasn't had hysterics all over the place.
Cool as a cucumber.
What's going to happen if we put her in the witness box?
Oh, God knows.
The prosecution would eat her up, especially if it were Myers.
If it's not the Attorney General, it probably will be.
Alright, so what's your plan of attack then?
Oh, the usual. Keep interrupting, as many objections as possible.
What beats me is that Leonard Vole is completely convinced of her devotion.
Don't put your trust in that. Any man can fall in love with a woman and be blinded by her for what she truly is.
Leonard Vole loves her alright and trusts her completely.
More fool he. Never trust a woman.
Lady, the Queen and the prisoner at the bar from which it stands give true evidence and receive true verdict today.
I swear by Almighty God that I will well and truly try and true deliverance make between our sovereign Lady the Queen and the prisoner at the bar whom I shall have in charge, and a true verdict give according to the evidence.
Leonard Vole, you are charged on indictment for that you, on the 14th of October, in the county of London, murdered Emily Jane French. How say you, Leonard Vole? Are you guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Members of the jury, the prisoner stands indicted for that he, on the 14th of October, murdered Emily Jane French. To this indictment he is pleaded not guilty, and it is your charge to say, having heard the evidence, whether he be guilty or not.
One moment, Mr. Myers. Members of the jury, I must tell you that this case is very severe, and there has been a lot of evidence, there has been a lot of things in the press regarding this case, so I will say this to you now. By the oath which each of you have just taken, you've sworn to try this case on the evidence. That means the evidence you are going to see and hear. It does not mean that you are also to consider anything you have heard or read before taking your oaths. You must cut out from your minds everything except from what takes place within this court. You mustn't let anything influence you in favour of or against the prisoner. I am sure that you will do your duty conscientiously in the way that I have indicated. And that this is a warm day, there will be no gowns or wigs in court. Yes, Mr. Myers.
May it please you, my lord. Members of the jury, I appear in this case with my learned friend Miss Barton for the prosecution and my learned friend Sir Wilfred Robarts and Mr. Mayhew for the defence. This is a case for murder. The facts are simple, and up to a certain point are not in dispute. You will hear how the prisoner, a young and some may say not an attractive young man, came into the acquaintance of Miss Emily French, a woman of 56. How he treated her with kindness and even affection. The nature of that affection you will have to decide amongst yourselves. Dr. White will tell you that in his professional opinion, that death occurred between 9:30 and 10 p.m. on the hours of October the 14th last. You will hear the evidence of Jenna Mackenzie, Miss French's faithful and devoted housekeeper. October the 14th, it was a Friday, happened to be Jenna Mackenzie's night out. However, on this occasion, she returned a few minutes at 9:25. She let herself in with a key, and upon going upstairs, she passed the door to the sitting room. She will tell you that she heard the voices of Miss French and the prisoner, Leonard Vole.
That's not true, it wasn't me!
Silence, Vole.
Janet Mackenzie was surprised, because as far as she was aware, Leonard Vole had not expected to call that evening. However, she went out again, and upon turning home at 11, she found Emily French murdered, the room in disorder, the curtains smashed, and the wind blowing wildly. Horror-stricken, she immediately rang up the police. I should tell you the prisoner was arrested on October the 20th. It is the case for the prosecution that Miss Emily French was murdered on October the 14th by a blow from a cosh, and the cosh was struck by the prisoner. I shall now call Inspector Hearn.
Inspector Hearn.
Your Honour.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Robert Hearn, Detective Inspector, Criminal Investigation Department, New Scotland Yard.
Now, Inspector, were you on duty last on October 14th when you received an emergency call?
Yes, sir.
What did you do?
With Sergeant Randall, I proceeded to 23 Ashwell Group. I was admitted to the house and later established that the occupant, whom I later ascertained as Miss Emily French, was dead. She was lying on her face and had received severe injury on the back of her head. An attempt has been made to force one of the windows with some implement that might have been a chisel. The window has been broken near the couch. There was glass strewn about the floor, and I also later found fragments of glass on the ground outside the window.
Is there any particular significance in finding glass both inside and outside the window?
The glass outside was not consistent with the window having been forced from outside.
So you mean if it had been forced from the inside, it made it look as though it had been done from the outside?
I object. My learned friend is putting words into the witness's mouth. He really must follow the rules of evidence.
You have engaged on several cases of burglary and housebreaking.
Yes, sir.
And in your experience, when a window is forced from the outside, where is the glass?
On the inside, sir.
And in any other case, when the window is forced from the outside, have you found glass fragments outside on the ground, perhaps?
No.
No. Will you go on?
A search was made, photographs were taken, and the place was fingerprinted.
What fingerprints did you discover?
Those of Miss Emily French herself, those of Janet Mackenzie, and some later proved to be those of the prisoner, Leonard Vole.
Did you subsequently have an interview with the prisoner?
Yes, sir.
And on October the 20th, when arrested, what did the prisoner say?
He said, "Okay, I'm ready."
Now, Inspector, you say the room had looked like a burglary had occurred?
That is just not what the inspector did not say. That was a mere suggestion made by my learned friend here, to which I objected, and quite improperly made.
You're quite right, Sir Wilfred. At the same time, I'm not sure that the inspector is not entitled to give evidence of any facts which might tend to prove that the disorder of the room was not caused by someone breaking in from the outside for purpose of robbery.
Perhaps if I phrased my question a little better, my learned friend would be satisfied. Inspector, could you say from what you saw that there had been a bona fide breaking in from the outside of the house?
I don't think I have the authority to say that, sir.
Is there any inconsistency with finding glass outside the window?
There's only the glass that's the only thing that's inconsistent, sir.
Nothing else?
No, sir, there was nothing else.
We all seem to have drawn a blank there. Carry on, Mr. Miles.
Was Miss French wearing jewellery of any value?
Well, she was wearing a diamond brooch, 2 diamond rings, value about £900.
And these were left untouched?
Well, according to Janet Mackenzie, nothing was missing.
And in your experience, when a burglary occurs, do they leave without taking anything?
Not unless they're interrupted.
Ah, but in this case it seems they weren't interrupted.
No, sir.
Do you produce a jacket, Inspector?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
From where did you get it?
I got it from the prisoner's flat sometime after he was arrested, and then later handed it to Mr. Clegg at the lab to test for possible bloodstain. Thank you.
And lastly, Inspector, did you produce the will of Miss French?
Yes, I do, sir.
Dated October the 8th?
Yes, sir.
And after certain bequests, is the residue all left to the prisoner?
That is right, sir.
That'll be all, Inspector.
And may I also draw your attention that for the will, as far as it can be ascertained at the moment, it will be about £85,000.
You say that's the only fingerprints found in the room were those of Miss French herself and Janet Mackenzie and Leonard Vaughn. In your experience, when a burglar breaks in, does he usually wear gloves or does he leave fingerprints about?
Well, he wears gloves.
Invariably?
Almost invariably.
So the absence of fingerprints in a case of robbery would hardly surprise you?
Yes, sir.
Now then, these chisel marks, were they on the outside or the inside of the casement?
On the outside, sir.
Isn't that consistent? And only consistent with a breaking in from the outside?
Well, he could have gone outside of the room to have done that afterwards, or he could have made those marks from the inside.
From the inside, Inspector? Now, how could he have possibly done that?
Well, there are two windows together there, and both are casement with their catches adjacent. It would have been easy for anyone from inside the room to open one window, lean out, and force the catch at the other.
Tell me, did you find any chisels on the premises or at the prisoner's flat?
At the prisoner's flat.
Oh.
But it didn't fit the marks on the window.
It was a windy night, was it not, on October 14th?
Well,
According to my...
sorry, I can't really remember.
Oh, no worries. According to my learned friend, Janet Mackenzie said that the curtains were blowing. Perhaps you would notice that fact yourself?
Well, yes, sir, they did blow about.
Indicating that it was a windy night, I suggest if a burglar had forced the window from the outside and swung it back, some of the loose glass may have easily fallen, and outside the window having been blown back so violently by the wind. That is possible, would you say?
Yes, sir.
Crimes of violence, as we have all been unhappily aware of, have been much on the increase lately. You would agree to that, would you not?
It's been a little bit of a rough moment, sir.
So let's just take the case that some young thugs had broken in who were meant to attack Miss French and steal. It is possible that if one of them coshed her and killed her, and then found out that she was dead, they might give way to panic and not take anything in the terms of money or in terms of, I'd say, jewellery.
I submit it is highly improbable for Inspector Hearn to go inside the minds of entirely hypothetical criminals who may not even exist.
The prisoner came forward on his own accord, did he not?
Yes, sir.
Is it the case that at all times the prisoner has protested his innocence?
Yes, sir.
Inspector Hearn, will you please kindly examine that knife?
Thank you.
You have seen that knife before, have you not?
I may have, sir.
That is the knife that was brought to your attention by Leonard Vaugh's wife, Romaine, when you first interviewed her. It was found in the prisoner's flat.
My lord, to save some time in the court, we say we accept this knife as being in possession of Leonard Vaux and shown to the inspector by Mrs. Vaux.
That is correct, Inspector.
Yes, sir.
It is what is known, I believe, as a French vegetable knife.
I believe so, sir.
Just test the edge of the knife carefully, please. You can confirm that the cutting edge and the point are razor sharp, would you not?
Yes, sir.
And if you were cutting, say, I don't know, ham, and carving it, that is, and your hand slipped with this knife, it would be capable of inflicting such a very nasty cut and would have someone bleed profusely.
I object. That is a matter of opinion, and medical opinion at that.
I withdraw the question. I will ask you instead, Inspector, if the prisoner, when questioned by you, as to the stains on the sleeve of his jacket, drew your attention to a recently healed scar on his wrist, and states that it was caused by slicing ham.
That is what he said.
And you were told by the same thing by his wife?
For the first time.
A simple yes or no would do, please. Did the prisoner's wife show you this knife and tell you that her husband had cut his wrist while slicing ham?
Yes, she did.
Thank you very much for your time.
What initially drew your attention to that jacket, Inspector?
The sleeves appeared to have been recently washed.
And you were told this incident about a kitchen knife?
Yes, sir.
And was your attention drawn to the scar on the prisoner's wrist?
Yes, sir.
Granted that this scar was made from this particular kitchen knife, could you say it been done accidentally or done deliberately?
My lord, I really must protest. If my learned friend is going to be asking his own questions, then the presence of the witness seems to be superfluous.
I will draw the question. Thank you, Inspector. Dr. Wyatt.
Dr. Wyatt.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You are Dr. Wyatt.
Yes.
You are a police surgeon attached to the New Hampshire division.
Yes.
Will you kindly tell me the events that happened on October the 14th?
At 11 p.m. on October 14th, I saw the dead body of a woman who subsequently proved to be Miss French. By examination of the body, I was of the opinion that the death had resulted from a blow on the head, delivered from an object such as a cosh. Death would have been practically instantaneous. From the temperature of the body and other factors, I placed the time of death at not less than an hour previously, and not more than, say, an hour and a half. That is to say, between the hours of 9:30 and 10 p.m.
Had Miss French struggled with her adversary at all?
There was no evidence she had done so. I should say, on the contrary, that she had been taken quite unprepared.
Doctor, where exactly on the head had this blow been struck? And was there not only one blow?
Only one, on the left side at the asterium.
I beg your pardon, where?
The asterium, the junction of the parietal, occipital, and temporal bones.
Oh, yes, but in layman's language, where is that?
Behind the left ear.
Would that indicate that the blow had been struck by a left-handed person?
It's difficult to say so. The blow appeared to have been struck directly from behind, because the bruising ran perpendicularly. I should say it is really impossible to say whether it was delivered by a right or left-handed man.
Wait a minute there. We don't know that it was a man, Doctor, but will you agree, from the position of the blow, if anything, it has been more likely to have been delivered by a left-handed person?
That is possibly so, but I would prefer to say that it is uncertain.
At the moment the blow was struck, would blood have been likely to have got onto the hand or arm that had struck the blow?
Yes, certainly.
And only on that hand or arm?
Probably only on that hand and arm, but it is difficult to be dogmatic.
Quite so, Dr. Wise. Now, would great strength have been needed to have struck such a blow?
No. From the position of the wound, no great strength would have been needed.
So it wouldn't necessarily have to be a man who struck the blow. It could have been a woman and she would have done so equally well?
Certainly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. Call Janet Mackenzie.
Janet Mackenzie!
Janet Mackenzie.
Your other hand.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You are Janet Mackenzie.
Aye, that's my name.
You were the former housekeeper to the late Miss Emily French.
I was a housekeeper. I've no opinions of companions, of course. Poor feckless bodies afraid to do a bit of honest domestic work.
Quite so, quite so. I only meant you on friendly terms with Miss French, not quite as those of mistress and servant.
20 years I've been with her, looked after her. She knew me and she trusted me. Oh, many a time I've prevented her from doing a foolish action.
Miss Mackenzie, will you please address your remarks to the jury?
What sort of person was Miss French?
She was a warm-hearted body. Too warm-hearted at times, I'm thinking. A wee bit impulsive, too. She was easily flattered, you see.
And when did you first see the prisoner, Leonard Vole?
He came to the house, I mind, at the end of August.
How often did he come to the house?
At first he comes once a week, but later he wasn't oftener. 2, even 3 times he'd come. Sit there flattering her, telling how young she looked and any new clothes she was wearing.
Quite. Now, Miss Mackenzie, will you kindly tell the jury the events of what happened on the 14th?
It was a Friday and my night out. I went to see some of my friends at Glenister Road, which is not more than a 3-minute walk. I left the house at 7:30. As I got there, I realised I'd left a pattern of a knitted cardigan behind that my friend really admired. So after the supper, I said I'd slip back in as it was a fine night and no distance. I got back to the house at 11:20. When I got in, I let myself in with my key and went to the room upstairs. As I was passing the sitting room, I heard the prisoner talking to Miss French.
You were sure it was the prisoner you heard?
I know his well enough with him calling so often. An agreeable voice it was, I wasn't saying it wasn't. Talking and laughing they were. But it was no business of mine, so I went upstairs, fetched the pattern and went back.
Now, I want these times exactly correct, Miss Mackenzie. You say you re-entered the house at 9:25?
Aye, it was just after 9:25 that I went Glenister Road.
How do you know that, Miss Mackenzie?
Well, I compared it to my friend's watch at the mantelpiece, and the time was the same, so I know.
And you say it takes 3 or 4 minutes to get to the house, and you were there?
I was there in the 10 minutes, and it took me a few minutes to find my pattern as I wasn't sure where I left it.
What did you do?
Well, I went back to my friends at Glenister Road. She was delighted to see the pattern, simply delighted.
What did you see?
Well, when I got back to the house, I entered the door, and I went to the sitting room to see if the mistress wanted anything.
What did you do next?
Well, she was there on the floor, her head beaten in, everything tossed headed and tethered, all the drawers of the bureau out on the floor. Oh, poor body.
Did you really think a burglary had occurred?
Really, my lord, I must protest.
I will not allow that question to be answered, Mr. Myers. It should not be put forth to the witness.
Then let me ask you this, Miss Mackenzie. What did you do after you had telephoned the police?
I searched the house.
What for?
For an intruder.
Did you find one?
No, not any signs of disturbance left in the sitting room.
What kind of a person was Leonard Vole?
I knew he needed money.
Did he ever ask Miss French for money?
He was too clever for that.
Did he ever help Miss French with her business affairs, her tax income forms, for example?
Aye, not that there was any need of it.
What do you mean by not any need of it?
Miss French had a clear head for business. She was a smart lady.
Do you know what she was going to do with the disposal of her money in the event of her death, Miss Mackenzie?
She would make a will as the fancy took her. Once it was for the orphans, and one it was for the old people's homes. And then one time she left it for a dispensary for cats and dogs.
Do you know when she made her will?
Well, it was the 8th of October. I heard her speaking to Mr. Strokes, the lawyer. He was there at that time, the prisoner I mean, kind of protesting, saying no. But I want to, my dear, she said.
Do you know when she made a will previous to that one?
In the spring it was.
Now, Miss Mackenzie, did you know Leonard Vole was a married man?
No, indeed, and neither did the mistress.
Let's say you formed the opinion that he was a single man. Do you have any evidence to support that opinion?
Well, it was the book that she ordered from the bureau. The one about the Bureau of Wellness Court, and the one about Disraeli and his wives. Both about women being married to men younger themselves. I know what she was thinking,
I'm afraid we cannot admit that.
Why?
Members of the jury, it is possible for a woman to read the life of Disraeli without contemplating marriage with a man younger than herself.
Did Mr. Vole ever mention a wife?
Never.
I think we all appreciate how very devoted you were to your mistress.
I was.
You had great influence over her.
Maybe.
In the last will Miss French made, that is to say, the one made last spring, was it? Miss French left almost the whole of her fortune to you. You were aware of that fact, were you not?
She said, all crooks these charities, expenses here and expenses there, and the money not going to what you exactly paid for. I've left it to you, Janet, and you do what exactly you think is good with it.
That was a great expression of great trust on her part. In her present will, as I have it here, I understand she has merely left you an annuity. The principal beneficiary is the prisoner, Leonard Vaux.
It would be wicked injustice if he ever touches a penny of that money.
Right. Miss French, you say, had not many friends and acquaintances. Now, why was that?
She didn't go out that much.
Well, so when Miss French struck up this friendship with Leonard Vaux, it made you very sore and angry, didn't it?
Indeed it did.
But you have admitted that Mr. Vaux did not impose upon her. Perhaps you mean that you didn't like to see someone else supplanting you as an influence on her?
I thought it was a far great deal than I thought, safe than I thought.
Far more than you personally liked?
Indeed, I just said so, but it was for her good, I was thinking.
So the prisoner had great influence on Miss French, and she had, say, great affection for him?
That is what it come to.
So if the prisoner had ever asked her for money, she would almost certainly have given him some, would she not?
I have not said that.
But he never received any money from her, correct?
That is not what the want of trying.
Returning to the night of October the 14th, correct? You say that you heard the prisoner and Miss French talking to each other. Now, what did you hear them say?
They were laughing.
Sorry, so you only heard the voices of them, the murmur of voices?
I didn't actually hear what they exactly said.
So you heard a man's voice and a woman's, and they were laughing, correct?
Aye.
Well, I suggest that's exactly what you did hear. A man's voice and a woman's voice, laughing. You didn't actually hear what was said. So, what makes you think the man's voice with Miss French was Leonard Vaux?
I know his voice well enough.
Didn't you hear a murmur of voices through a closed door? And you did just say that you swore that one of those voices was of Leonard Vaux. I suggest that is mere prejudice on your part.
It was Leonard Vaux!
As I understand, you passed the door, I believe, twice. Once going to your room, once going out.
Aye, that's so.
So you were in no doubt in hurry to get your pattern and return to your friend.
I was in no hurry. I had the whole evening.
Sorry, what I'm suggesting is that on both occasions you walked quickly past that door.
Aye, that's so.
Come, Miss Mackenzie. I'm sure you don't wish to suggest to the jury that you weren't eavesdropping.
I was doing no such thing. I had better things to do with my time.
Exactly. As I have it here, you are registered, of course, with the National Health Insurance.
Aye, that's so. 4 and 6 pence paid every week. Oh, that's a terrible lot of money for a working woman to pay.
Yes, many people feel that, I think. Miss Mackenzie, that you recently applied for a national hearing apparatus?
Ah, indeed. I applied for it 6 months ago and I've not got it yet.
So your hearing isn't quite good then, is that right?
No.
So when I say to you, Miss Mackenzie, that you could not possibly recognise the voice of Leonard Vaux through a closed door, what do you say? Can you hear what I said?
I can now hear it, the murmur.
In fact, you didn't hear what I just said, yet I'm only a few feet from you in an open court. Yet you say that behind a closed door, with two people talking in an ordinarily conversational tone, you definitely recognise the voice of Leonard Vole as you swept very quickly past the door on both occasions.
I tell you it was him!
What you mean is you wanted to be him!
Who else it could have been?
Exactly! Who else could it have been? That is the way your mind worked. Now, tell me, Miss Mackenzie, was Miss French sometimes lonely all by herself in the evening?
She was not lonely. She had the books from the library.
She listened to the wireless, perhaps?
Aye, she listened to the wireless.
So she was fond of a talk on it, or perhaps of a good play?
Aye, she liked a good play.
So was it possible on that evening, when you returned home and passed the door, that what you really heard was the wireless switched on, and a man and a woman's voice? I believe there was a play called, I haven't got my glasses, called Lover's Leap on the wireless that night, and you heard them laughing, I believe?
It was not the wireless.
Ah, why not?
Because the wireless was away being repaired that week, that's why.
Oh, damn it. Well, it must have upset you very much, Miss Mackenzie, if you thought the prisoner had every intention to marry Miss French.
Aye, indeed. It was such a daft thing to do.
For one thing, if Miss French had married the prisoner, it would make sense, but it would be possible that he might have persuaded her to dismiss you.
She would have never done that, after all these years.
But you never know what anyone will do you? Not if they're strongly influenced by anyone.
Aye, indeed. He would try his best to influence her to dismiss me.
I see, so you felt the prisoner was threatening your way of life at the time.
That is what it had come to.
Yes, very upsetting. No wonder you feel so bitterly against the prisoner.
Miss Mackenzie, I put it to you. Did you really think your mistress might have married the prisoner?
Aye, indeed. I've just said so.
Yes, indeed you have. Did you think he would have such an influence over her that he would have persuaded her to dismiss you?
No, I don't think so she would. But he would have tried his best to make her dismiss me.
Did the prisoner show any dislike of you in any way?
No, he had his manners.
One final question. You say you absolutely were sure you heard Leonard Vole's voice through the door. How do you know that?
You know someone's voice without knowing what they actually said,
Thank you, Miss Mackenzie.
Good morning.
Paul Thomas Clegg.
Thomas Clegg?
Thomas Clegg.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You are Thomas Clegg.
Yes, sir.
You are an assistant in the forensic laboratory at New Scotland Yard.
I am.
Do you recognise that jacket?
Yes.
Will you tell me your findings?
The coat sleeves had been washed, though not properly pressed afterwards, but by certain tests I am able to state that there are traces of blood on the cuffs.
Was the blood of any specific group or type?
Yes, it is of the type O.
Were you also given a sample of blood to test?
I was given a sample labelled blood of Miss Emily French. The blood group was of the same type, O.
You say that there were traces of blood on both cuffs.
That is right.
Well, I suggest that there were traces of blood on only one cuff, the left one.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It was only the left cuff.
And it was the only sleeve that had been washed, the left sleeve, I should say.
Yes, that is right.
Are you aware that the prisoner had told the police that he had cut his wrist and that the blood was caused from cutting ham?
So I understand.
Well, I have here a certificate stating that Leonard Vole is a blood donor at the North London Hospital and that his blood group is the same blood group. Oh, correct?
Yes.
So the blood might have equally well have come having cut on the prisoner's wrist.
That is right.
Thank you.
Call Remain Helga.
Remain, Helga.
Remain Helga.
Silence. I swear by Almighty God that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You are Remain Helga. You are the wife of the prisoner and involved.
Yes.
Are you actually his wife?
I went for a form of marriage with him in Berlin. My former husband is still alive, so the marriage is not...
Not valid.
My lord, I have the most serious objection to this witness giving any evidence at all. We have no proof whatsoever of this so-called marriage that she claims to have.
Perhaps if my learned friend learned his customary patience, we have been spared this further interruption. Had I asked one more question? Mrs. Helga, is this the marriage certificate between you and Otto Gert Helga on the 13th of April in 1947 in Leipzig?
It is.
I would like to see the certificates. Should be exhibit number 4, I think.
I believe it will be, my lord.
Appears, Sir Wilfrid, that this witness is competent to give evidence.
Are you willing to give evidence against the man you've been calling your husband?
I'm quite willing.
What are you doing here? What are you saying?
You must have silence, Leonard Vole. As your counsel will tell you, you will shortly have the opportunity to speak in your own defence.
Mrs. Helga, are you willing to tell me the events that happened on October the 14th last?
I was at home all evening.
And then involved?
Leonard went out at 7:30.
The prisoner, and what time did he return?
At 10:30.
That's not true, you know it's
Silence,
not true.
Vole.
You've been making you say this, I don't understand.
Vole!
The prisoner, you say, came home at 10:10. What happened next?
He was breathing hard, very excited. He threw off his jacket and examined the sleeves. He told me to wash the cuffs. There were blood on them.
Did he speak about the blood?
He said, "Damn it, there's blood on them."
And what did you say to that?
I said, "What have you done?"
And what did the prisoner say to that?
He said, "I killed her."
That's not true.
Please control yourself.
It's not true.
Get this man out of court.
It's not.
We shall adjourn for 15 minutes. Leonard Vole, you have had time to calm yourself down. I trust that you will behave from now on. Now, Mrs. Hilda, do you know what you are saying?
I am to speak the truth, am I not?
The prisoner had said, "I have killed her." Do you know to whom he had referred to?
Yes, it was that woman he had been going to see so often.
What happened next?
He said to say that he'd been home all evening. Especially, he said to say that he'd been home at 9:30. I said, do the police know you've killed her? He said, no, they will think it is a burglary. But anyway, remember I was at home at 9:30.
Were you subsequently interviewed by the police?
Yes,
And when questioned, did they ask if Leonard returned home at 25 minutes past 9?
yes.
What did you say to that?
I said that he was.
But you have changed your story now. Why?
Because it is murder, because I cannot go on lying to save him. I am grateful to him, yes. He brought me to this country. What I have done, I have always done out of gratitude.
You were grateful to the prisoner. He brought you to this country, made you an alibi, and you first consented, but later you felt it was wrong.
Yes, it is that exactly.
Why did you feel it was wrong?
When it is murder, I cannot go on lying and saying that he was with me at the time it was done. I cannot do it. I cannot do it.
So what did you do?
I did not know what to do. I write a letter to my ambassador and say, I wish not to speak any more lies. I wish to speak the truth.
That is the truth. That Leonard Vole returned home at 10 minutes past 10, that he had blood on the sleeves of his coat, and he had said, I have killed her. That is the truth before God?
That is the truth.
When the prisoner went through his former marriage with you, was he aware of the fact that you were already married?
No.
He acted in good faith?
Yes.
And you were very grateful to him?
Yes.
Well, you showed your gratitude by coming here and testifying against him.
I have to speak the truth.
Is it the truth?
Yes.
I suggest to you on the night of October the 14th, Leonard Vole was home with you at 9:30, the time that the murder had been committed. I suggest to you that this whole story of yours is a wicked fabrication, and that this is your way of expressing your grudge against the prisoner.
No.
You realise you are on oath.
Yes.
I warn you, Mrs. Halliday, that if you care nothing for the prisoner, be very careful on your own account. The penalty for perjury is quite heavy.
My lord, I don't know if these theatrical outbursts are for the benefit of the jury, but I'm sure the prisoner has clearly stated that she is saying anything but the truth.
Mr. Myers, this is a capital charge, and within the bounds of reason, I would like the defence to have every latitude. Proceed, Sir Wilfrid.
Thank you. Now then, you have said that there was blood on both cuffs.
Yes, that is what Leonard said.
Both cuffs?
Yes.
No, Miss Helga, you said, and I quote, he told me to wash the cuffs. They have blood on them.
That is precisely my note, Sir Wilfrid.
Thank you, my lord. What you were saying is that you had washed both cuffs.
It is my first time to be inaccurate now. The witness has clearly stated she hadn't washed both cuffs, nor did she mention one.
My friend is right. Well, Mrs. Helga, did you wash the sleeves?
I remember now. It was only the one cuff that I washed.
Oh, thank you. Perhaps your memory as to other parts of your story is equally untrustworthy. I think your original story to the police was that the blood on the jacket came from a cut caused while carving ham.
I said that, yes, but this was not the truth.
Now, why did you lie?
That is what Leonard told me to say.
Even going so far as to produce the actual knife which he was cutting the ham?
When Leonard found that there was blood on his sleeve, he cut himself to make it seem like the blood was his.
I never did!
Whoa, please. Please. So you admit that your original story to the police was all lies? You seem to be a very good liar. Are you not a good liar?
No, that is what Leonard told me to say. I've only ever done what he has told me to say.
It's not important to me whether you lied to me then or whether you lie to me now! Had you been so appalled by murder having been committed, you would have told the truth straight away when the police first questioned you!
I was afraid of Leonard.
Really? Afraid of him? Of that? Leonard Vole, the man whose heart and soul you have just broken! I think the jury will know which one of you to bloody believe.
Remain Helga, I ask you once more, is everything you said in this courtroom the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
It is.
My lord, that is the case for the prosecution.
Sir Wilfrid.
My lord, Members of the jury, I will not submit to you, as I might, that there is no case for the prisoner to answer. There is a case of very strong circumstantial evidence. You have heard the police and other expert witnesses. They have given fair and impartial evidence, as is their duty. Against them, I have nothing to say. On the other hand, you have heard Janet Mackenzie and the other woman who calls herself Romaine Vaux. Can you believe their testimony is not walked? Janet Mackenzie cut out of her rich mistress's will because her position was usurped, quite unwittingly by that unfortunate boy. Oh, poor soul. Romaine Vaux, Halligan, or whatever she bloody calls herself, who trapped him into marriage, whilst concealing from him the fact that she was, and I hear, already married. Happily, I should say. That woman owes him more than she can ever repay. But she admits no love for him. Unfortunate, but he has served his purpose. I will ask you, and each and every one of you, to be very, very careful about how you believe her testimony. The testimony of a woman who we know has been brought up to believe that the pernicious doctrine of lying should be used as a weapon and to be served to one's own ends. Members of the jury, I call the prisoner Leonard Vaux.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Now, Miss Vaux, we have heard of your friendship with Miss Emily French. Now, I want you to tell me how often you visited her.
Frequently.
Why was that?
Well, she was awfully nice to me and I got fond of her. She was like my Aunt Betsy.
That was an aunt who brought you up.
Yeah, she were a dear. Miss French reminded me of her.
You've heard Janet Mackenzie say Miss French thought you were a single man and that there was actually some question of you marrying her. Is there any truth to this?
Of course not, it's an absurd idea.
So Miss French already knew you were married?
Yes.
So there was literally no question of marriage between you two?
Of course not. I already told you. She treated me as though she were an indulgent aunt, almost like a mother.
And in return, you did everything for her that you could?
Yeah, I was really fond of her.
Will you tell the jury, in your own words that is, exactly what happened on the night of October the 14th?
Well, I found a can of cat brush, a new thing in that line, and I thought she might like it. So I took it along that evening. I had nothing else to do.
And what time was that, exactly?
That was just before 8 I got there. I gave her the cat brush and she was pleased. We tried it on one of the cats, and it was a success. And then we played a game of Double Demon together. Miss French were very fond of Double Demon. And after that, just before 9 I left.
Yes, but did you not...
Sir Wilfred, I don't understand this piece of evidence. What is a cat brush?
It's a brush for brushing cats.
Oh.
It's a sort of comb and brush combined. You know, Miss French kept cats, 8 of them, and the house smelt a bit, and...
Yes. We get it, smells of cat.
Anyway, I thought the brush would be useful.
Did you see Janet Mackenzie?
No, I didn't. Miss French let me in herself.
And did you know Janet Mackenzie was out that night?
Well, I didn't really think about it.
And what time did you leave?
Just before 9. I walked home.
And how long did that take you?
It took about 25 minutes to half an hour.
So that you reached home?
I reached home at 25 minutes past 9.
And your wife, I will call her your wife for your sake, was at home with you then, correct?
Yeah, of course she was. I think she must have gone mad.
Well, never mind that now. Just go on with your story. Oh, did you wash your coat when you came back to the house?
No, of course I didn't.
Then who did wash your coat?
Romaine did. The next morning. She said I got blood on it from a cut on my wrist.
A cut on your wrist?
Yeah.
And this is the cut that was caused by a carving hammer, I believe?
Yes, here, you can still see the mark.
Oh, you can? Ugh, nasty. So, when was the first you heard of the murder?
I read about it in the evening papers the next day.
And what did you feel?
Well, I was stunned. I can hardly believe it. And I were upset too. The papers only said it were a burglary. I never expected anything else.
And what happened next?
And then they had the police. They were anxious to interview me. So of course I went along to the station.
And you went along to the police station and made a statement, correct?
Yes.
You were not nervous and reluctant to do so?
Of course not. I wanted to help in any way possible.
Did you receive any money from Miss French at all?
None at all.
Were you aware that she had made a will in your favour?
Well, I mean, she did say she were ringing up her lawyers and we're going to make a new will. And I asked her if she often made new wills, and she just said from time to time.
Did you know what the terms of this new will were to be?
I swear I didn't.
Had she ever suggested to you that she might leave you anything in her will at all?
No.
You have heard the evidence that your wife, or the woman who you considered as your wife, God bless you, has given in court.
Yeah, I heard. I don't understand.
I realise, Mr. Vole, that you are very upset, but I want to ask you to put all of that emotion aside and answer this question plainly and simply. Was what that witness said true or untrue?
Of course it wasn't true.
You arrived home at, I believe, 25 minutes past 9 that night and had supper with your wife?
Yes.
And did you go out again?
No.
Now, just a few more questions, Mr. Vole. Are you right or left-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Right, okay. Right. Although you're left. I'm going to ask you just one more question, Mr. Vole. Just an easy, simple question. Just one more. Did you kill Emily French?
No, I did not!
Have you tried to get money out of anybody?
No.
How soon in your acquaintance did you realise that Miss French was a very wealthy woman?
I didn't know she were rich when I first went to see her.
You mean you decided to cultivate her acquaintance further?
I suppose that's what it might look like, but it ain't really like that. Money had nothing to do with it.
So you would have visited her no matter how poor she had been?
Yeah, I would.
You yourself were in poor circumstances?
You know I were.
Kindly answer the question yes or no.
You must answer the question, yes or no.
Yes.
What salary do you earn?
As a matter of fact, I ain't got a job at the minute and I have for some time.
You were recently discharged.
No, I wasn't. I quit.
Before the time of your arrest, how much money had you in the bank?
Only a few quid. I was expecting some money in a week or two.
How much?
Not very much.
So I suggest you were pretty desperate for money, Mr. Vole?
I wasn't desperate. I did feel a bit worried.
You were worried about money, came to the acquaintance of an elderly lady, and that you courted her assiduously.
You make it sound all twisted. I tell you I liked her.
We've heard that you used to deal with her business affairs, her tax income forms.
Yeah, I did. So, you know what them forms are like? You can't make head or tail of them. Oh, she couldn't.
Janet Mackenzie has previously stated that she was a very well-able businesswoman, able to deal with her own business affairs.
Well, that ain't what she said to me. She said them forms worried her terribly.
In filling out her tax forms, I suggest you knew the exact amount of her income.
No.
No.
Well, I mean, naturally, yes.
Tell me, Mr. Vole, how is it that you never took your wife to see Miss French?
Dunno. It just didn't seem to crop up.
You mean she never asked you to bring her with you?
No. She didn't like women, I don't think.
That was the impression you gave her?
No. You see, she knew my wife were a foreigner, and, well, I don't know. She seemed to think that we didn't get on.
You mean she was infatuated with you?
No. She treated me almost like a mother.
Did you hope for any monetary advantage in gaining acquaintance with Miss French?
Not in the way you mean.
Not in the way I mean. You seem to know what I mean better than I know myself.
Well, I'd invented a new windscreen wiper that worked in snow, and I was looking for someone to finance it, and I thought perhaps Miss French would. But that wasn't the only reason I went to see it. I tell you, I liked her.
Yes, we've heard how much you liked her.
I did.
Now, tell me, Vole, about a week before her death, you went into a particular travel agency in particular foreign cruises?
Suppose I did. Ain't a crime, is it?
Not at all. Only to those who can afford it. But you couldn't afford it, could you, Vole?
You know I were hard up. I already said.
You went in this particular travel agency with a blonde, a strawberry blonde.
A strawberry blonde, Mr. Myers?
A term for a lady with reddish fair hair, my lord.
Thought I knew all about blondes. The strawberry blonde? Go on, Mr. Myers.
Well, my wife ain't a blonde, and it were only a bit of fun anyways.
And you went to this particular travel agency, you're not looking at those of cheap trips, but at those of the most expensive and luxurious. How could you afford to pay for such a thing?
I didn't. I couldn't.
I suggest that you would have inherited a large sum of money.
I didn't know anything. I was just feeling fed up. And there were the posters in the window with the palm trees and the coconuts and the blue seas. So I just went in and asked. I mean, the clerk gave me a sort of supercilious look. I know I'm a bit shabby, but it riled me. So I put on a bit of an act. I started asking for the swankiest toys there were. All deluxe, cabin on the boat deck.
Do you really expect the jury to believe that?
I don't expect anyone to believe anything. It will make believe and childish, but it was fun and I enjoyed it. I wasn't expecting to inherit any money or killing anybody.
So it was just a coincidence that Miss French was found killed, leaving you her only heir?
I've told you I didn't kill her.
Your story is that you left her house at 4 minutes to 9 and that you had came back at 9:25 and not gone out that evening?
Yes.
Yet you've heard the woman, Remain Helga, repeat that story in court.
Oh, just leave him alone, will you?
Yeah, but what she said, it's not true.
Is there any reason why she'd give evidence if it were not true in this courtroom?
Well, that's the awful thing. There's no reason. I think she must have gone mad.
You think she must have gone mad, Mr. Ball? She seemed extremely sane and self-possessed, yet insanity is the only reason you can suggest.
Yeah, I don't understand. My God, what's happened? What's changed her?
Yes, Mr. Ball, we've all heard your story. However, in this courtroom, we deal with facts. And the fact is that you left her house at the time you say you did, and you came home at 25 minutes past 9. However, the only person who saw you said you had blood on your clothes.
Yeah, someone must have seen me in the street or going into the house.
A very likely story indeed, except the only witness you have said that you came home at 10 minutes past 10 and that you had blood on your wrist.
I cut my wrist.
A very easy thing to do had such questions had arisen.
You twist everything. You twist everything I say. You make me sound like a different person than what I am.
You cut your wrist deliberately.
I didn't do anything, but you make it sound like I did. I can hear it myself.
You came home at 10 past 10.
I didn't. You've got to believe me. You've got to believe me.
You killed Emily French.
My God, it's a nightmare. It's an awful, evil dream.
Good evening, Sir Wilfred. It's a nasty night, sir.
Down the fog.
It's a beast of an evening.
We come out of a bloody stuffy courtroom, and what do we get for it in return? Huh? Tell me. I know. Bloody fog!
It's not like the fog we got over the case with Miss Remain Helga.
Don't even get me started on that old woman. The moment I clapped eyes on her, I knew I scented trouble.
Would you two like a cup of tea at all?
Tea? No, a strong drink is what we need.
No, you like your tea, really, sir. But how did it go today?
Badly.
Oh no, I do sure hope not. He didn't do it. I'm sure he didn't do it.
You're still sure he didn't do it?
He's just not the sort. He's nice, if you know what I mean. Ever so nice. He'd never go cotton an old lady round the head. But you'll get him off, won't you, sir?
I'll get him off. don't know what we're going to do.
Well, the woman seems to like him at least. So Helga is not the maternal type.
She really isn't. She's the type of woman who, if you double-cross her, she might stab you in the back.
Forgive me, Wilfred, but you're making it sound like it's a personal duel between you and her.
Am I? Oh, perhaps I am. There's literally no evidence to go on. And the stupid boy goes off about looking at luxury cruises because of the will.
Yeah, I agree, it does not look good for us.
And yet, my wife does the same thing.
What? Does what?
Goes to traveling agencies, looks at luxury cruises and makes itineraries. And she would probably bemoan the fact that we might miss a connection from here to Bermuda. And I always say to her, just get the plane, it's easier, you know. But she's always saying to me, but we might not see the entire country.
No, you see, with my wife, it's houses.
Houses?
Yeah. So, she orders them to view. We've looked over like every house in London now, working out the general colour schemes and furniture. She's probably spent hours, maybe days looking at the same house and all the placements of everything. Oh, I tell you, it's trouble going to each new house every other week. It's a chore.
Tell me about it. But women aren't evidence. They're just women, really.
Pipe dreams.
Oh, bloody hell.
You did make some good evidence, though. That was a very key point you made about Janet Mackenzie and her deafness.
Oh yeah, but she got herself there with us when it came to the wireless.
Who do you think she heard behind the door, though? It surely couldn't have been Bolt, could it?
To be honest, I have the faintest idea, but who could it have possibly been? It's not like it was going to be a burglar talking to that.
You don't think she just made it up just to get young Leonard Bolt convicted, do you?
No, I don't think she'd stick at anything at all. I don't think she'd stick at anything.
Surely you don't mean.
I don't know, to be honest. Oh, yes, Carter?
Sorry, Sir Wilfred. There's a young woman out. Says it has to do with the case of the London farm.
Is she mental?
No, Sir Wilfred. No one recognises that type.
No. Well, how does she sound?
She's a rather common young woman with a free way of talking.
Right. What do you think, John?
Send her in, might as well. No point in leaving any stone unturned.
Bring her in, please. Well, it's our last resort, I guess.
Yeah, no harm in checking though, is there?
Yeah, very true to that.
The young woman.
What's this? Two of you? I'm not talking to two of you.
I beg your pardon, this is Mayhew. He's the solicitor in Leonard's case. I'm Sir Wilfred Roberts, counsel for the defence.
Ah, so you are, dearie. Didn't recognise you. Having a bit of comfort, are you? Well, I might be able to help if you make it worth my while.
You got something that might be of interest to the case?
Hey, no banging out of butchers.
What?
A butcher's look.
Yes, but as this evidence that you have?
It's valuable what I've got. I want 100 quid.
100 quid?
Let's just see what you've got first, and then we can maybe talk about compensation.
It's letters. That's what I've got. Letters.
Letters from who?
From Remain Vol.
Remain Vol to the prisoner?
To the prisoner. Don't make me laugh. Poor ruddy prisoner. He's been taken in by all right.
May we see these letters, please?
100 quid.
Well, that's a bit pricey, but for your expenses in coming here and for the evidence, I'm prepared to offer you £10.
£10 for bloody letters like these? Think again.
Oh, give it here. Cheap. Another £10, make it 20.
Here, last. Have them.
Thank you.
Quite a stack of them. Top one will do the trick.
Oh.
This is her handwriting, isn't it?
It's all fair and square.
Cold-blooded vindictiveness.
Tell me about it. How did you get a hold of these?
That'll be telling.
What do you make of this?
This could choose a case. Really could. What have you got with Miss Remain Pelvier anyway? How'd you get these?
See that?
Ooh, no. Did she do that to you?
Not her. Chap I was going with.
Oh.
Going with him real steady I was too. I was fond of him. Then she came along. She started seeing him on the sly. One day it cleared off. I knew where he went. I followed him, and I told him what I thought of her, and he set out on me in one of those razor gangs he was.
I'm deeply sorry that happened to you, but I have to ask, did you go to the police about it?
Me? Not likely. Besides, what his fault? It was hers. All hers. So I followed her. I know who she'd been seeing on the slide. That's how I got hold of those letters. So, now you know the old story, mister. Want to kiss me?
Oh, does it?
Don't think so.
Well, these are quite good though, are they? I've got a reference letter back in my office. We also cross-reference them. We must get a handwriting expert.
Yes,
We must get this man's details and hello, where's she gone? She can't leave now without giving us further particulars.
Carter! Carter!
Sir Wilfred?
Carter! Where did that young woman go?
She's just left, sir.
Well, you shouldn't have to go then, should you? Send her to up there!
Right away, sir.
She's gone.
Yes, I've sent Grasp after her, but there's no hope in this damn fog.
Oh, she thought things out too carefully.
For
Give us
God's
the letter,
sake!
distract us with them, then slip out like an eel. She wouldn't dare appear in the witness box, not after what that man did to her last time.
But she'd have protection.
For how long? Until he found her or one of his mates found her. It's not even about him, it's about Romain Helga she's after.
Well, at least we've finally got some go off, John. You see that?
Yes, this could turn the case in our favour.
Well, we now have a plan of attack. But first, as to procedure.
All stand. All persons who have anything further to do before my lady the Queen, Justices and Oyer and Terminer and General Gold Delivery for the jurisdiction of the Central Criminal Court, draw near and give your attendance. God save the Queen. Be seated.
My lord, since this was adjourned, certain evidence of a rather startling character has come into my hands. This evidence is such that I am taking it upon myself, to ask your lordship's permission, that is, to have the last witness for the prosecution, Romain Helga, recalled.
When exactly, Sir Wilfred, did this evidence come to your knowledge?
It was brought to me after the court was adjourned last night.
My lord, I must object to my learned friend's request. The case for the
Mr.
prosecution...
Myers, I have not intended to rule on this question without first observing the customary formality of inviting your observations on the matter. Continue, Sir Wilfred.
My lord, in a case where evidence vital to the prisoner comes into possession of his legal advisers at any time before the jury have returned their verdict, I contend that such evidence is not only admissible, but desirable. Happily, there is clear authorities to support my proposition. To be found in the case of the King against Stillman, reported in, I believe, 1926, appeals cases at page 463.
You needn't trouble to cite the authorities with me, Sir Wilfred. I'm quite familiar with them. I should like to hear from the prosecution now. Mr. Myers.
My lord, I find my learned friend's request highly unprecedented. And what, may I ask, is this new evidence that Sir Wilfred speaks?
Letters, my lord. Letters from the prisoner, Romain Helga.
I should like to see these letters.
My learned friend was only giving me enough time today to see this in the courtroom. My lord, I believe I remember a case, King against Porter, I believe, in 1931, and
No, Mr. Myers. You're thinking about the King against Potter. And it was reported in 1932. I appeared for the prosecution.
And if my memory serves me well, your objection was sustained.
Your memory for once serves you ill, Mr. Myers. My objection was overruled by Mr. Justice Swindon, as yours is now by me.
Call Romain Helga.
Remain Helga.
Remain Helga.
If these letters are authentic, it raises very serious issues.
Mrs. Helga, he appreciates that you are still on your oath.
Yes.
Mrs. Helga, you have been recalled to this box so that Sir Wilfrid may ask you further questions.
Mrs. Helga, do you know a man whose Christian name is Max?
I do not think so.
And yet it's a fairly simple question. Do you or do you not know a person called Max?
I have never known anyone by the name of Max.
You're quite sure of that?
Yes.
And yet, I believe it's a fairly common Christian name, or contraction of a name in your country. You mean that you have never met anyone of that name?
Oh, in Germany perhaps, but I do not remember. That is a very long time ago.
I should not ask you to throw your minds as far as back as that. A few weeks will suffice. Let's say, I believe the 17th of October last.
What do you have there?
Oh, just a letter.
A letter?
I'm talking about a letter. A letter written on the date of September the 17th. You do remember that day, of course, do you not?
Not particularly. Why?
Well, I suggest on that day that you wrote a certain letter on the 17th of October to a man called Max.
I never did such a thing.
That letter was one of a series written to the same man over a considerable period amount of time. You would have been on, I guess, judging by the letter, intimate terms with this.
How dare you say a thing like that?
Please control yourself.
Come on. I'm not concerned with the general trend of this correspondence. I'm only interested in one particular letter. Oh, I should get that petition for the board. My beloved Max, an extraordinary thing has happened.
It is lies! All lies! It is a forgery! How did you get that letter?
How it came to my possession was irrelevant.
You stole it! You're a thief as well as a liar!
Why are you so offended? I've already actually said the first few phrases, and so do you claim that you actually know what's in the letter?
No, I do not know what's in that letter.
Anyway, so far, I've already said a few words. Why are you so upset?
I did not write that letter.
Alright then. Well, I suggest that you've lied, because we've checked your handwriting with the letters that you gave to us, and, you know, if the boot fits, it's damn well identical. Now, if I can continue.
Yes, Sir Wilfrid, will you please read the letter aloud for the
Yes,
jury?
this is what you call yourself nowadays. My beloved Max, an extraordinary thing has happened. I believe all our difficulties may be ended. I've come to you without any fear of endangering the valuable work that you are doing in this country. The old lady I told you about has been murdered, and I think Leonard Vole is suspected. He was there early that night, and his fingerprints will be all over the place. 9:30 seems to be the time Leonard was home by then, but his alibi depends on me. On me. Supposing, I say, he came home much later and that he had blood on his clothes. He did have blood on his sleeve because he cut his wrist at supper. So, you see, it would all fit in. I could even say he told me he killed her. Oh, Max, beloved, tell me I can go ahead. It would be so wonderful to be free from playing the part of a loving, grateful wife. But I know the cause and the party comes first. But if Leonard was convicted of murder, I could come to you safely and we could be together for always. Your adoring Romain, signed by you. Lovely signature, by the way.
Mrs. Helga, you have heard the letter read aloud. What have you to say for yourself?
Just tell him you didn't write it. I know you didn't write it.
Of course I wrote it.
And that, my lord, concludes the case for the defence.
Sir Wilfrid, have you any evidence as to who the letters were addressed to?
My lord, these came into my letters box anonymously, and there has been as yet no time to ascertain any further facts. It would seem likely that this individual came to this country illegally and is on some...
You'll never find out who he is, never!
My lord, I don't think the witness knows what she is protesting to. Mrs. Helga, you are of a foreigner and don't understand the terms and conditions in accepting and being under oath in this country.
I wrote the letter. Just let me go.
Clearly she is such an agitated state that she does not know what she is admitting to or saying anything.
Mr. Myers, I will remind you that Sir Wilfrid cautioned the witness at the time of her previous statement and impressed upon her the sacred nature of the oath she'd taken. Mrs. Helga, I wish to warn you that this is not the end of matters. In this country, you cannot commit the crime of perjury without being brought to account for it. I have no doubt that proceedings against you for perjury will be taken shortly. The punishment for perjury can be severe. You may stand down. Sir Wilfrid, will you address the jury on behalf of the defence?
Members of the jury, when truth is clearly evident, it speaks for itself. No words of mine, I'm sure, can add to the impression made upon you by the straightforward story which the prisoner has told, and by the very wicked attempt to incriminate him, evidence of which you have just witnessed.
All stand up. Members of the jury, are you all agreed upon your verdict?
We are.
And do you find the prisoner, Leonard Bowl, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty, my lord.
Leonard Vole, you have been found not guilty of the murder of Emily French on October 14th. You are hereby discharged and free to leave this court.
All persons who have anything further to do before my lady, the Queen Justice and Oya and Termina and General Gold Delivery for the jurisdiction of the Central Criminal Court may depart hence and give your attendance here again tomorrow morning at 10:30. God save the Queen.
Congratulations, my boy.
I can't thank you enough.
This is the man you've got to thank right here.
Thank you, sir. You've got me out of a very nasty mess.
Nasty mess, I tell you.
It was it was a close one, wasn't it?
That's very much so.
Did you have to go for remain the way you did, though? It were awful the way she broke down to pieces up there.
Look here, Vol. That woman tried to incriminate you for a crime that you didn't commit. She tried to put a bloody rope round your neck. Do you not get that?
Yeah, but why? I can't see why. All the time she seems so devoted to me. But she was just going with some other fella. It's unbelievable. There's something there I don't understand.
You never know anyone truly, do you?
Oh.
Sorry, sir. I'll wait in here for a couple more minutes. Then we'll slip you out by side entrance straight to the car.
Is this a crowd?
I'll wait in here as well. Crowds are nasty moves.
Why are you here?
Really? You're protecting Leonard from me.
Yes, I am.
There's no need. Not until you even congratulate me
No thanks to you.
on being free and rich.
Rich?
Yes, it seems you inherit quite a great deal of money.
Well, money don't seem to mean much to me after what I've been through. Remain, just tell me. I don't understand.
Don't you dare! Stay away!
For God's sake, Vol, we never see reason. Come on.
You know, Mrs. Helga, when I first laid eyes on you, I knew to beat you at your little devious game. And by God, I've done it. I have got him off, in spite of you.
In spite of me?
Yes.
Would they have believed me if I said, Leonard came home at 9:30, and did not go out again? Would they?
If you had been telling the truth, they would have, yes.
No. They would have said, this woman loves this man. She would do anything for him. They would have sympathized with me, yes, but they would not have believed me. I wonder. I wanted them to dislike me, to mistrust me, to believe my pack of lies. And when all those lies were brought down, then they believed. So, now I know the whole story, mister. Want a kiss, me?
My God.
Yes. I was that woman. I brought you those letters. It wasn't you who were negligent, Stephen. It was me. All me. And because of it, I shall go to prison. But we'll be held together again. Happy.
Mrs. Halligan, couldn't you have trusted me to get him off? I believe our British justice system is very well mature. I mean, why couldn't you have trusted me? Why?
You see, you thought Leonard was innocent.
And he was innocent. We would have got him off.
You see, you don't understand. I knew he was guilty.
You know, Mrs. Halligan, when we first met, I called you a very remarkable woman.
Hey, wait a minute. She's not going there. It's all over now.
Hey, darling, you're free. I've been trying to keep you from you, and I'm so worried. I'm so worried for you, but I can't believe you're out.
Leonard, who is this girl?
I'm Len's girl. I'm all about you, not his wife. Never have been. You're years older than him, and you just got a hold of him, and you did your best to hang him. But it's all over now. We can go abroad one of those holidays, like you said, and we'll have a wonderful time.
Leonard, what can she possibly offer you that I cannot?
Well, she's 15 years younger than you are.
Oh, bloody hell.
And I've got my money. I've been acquitted, and I can't be tried again. So don't go shooting off your mouth, or you'll just be hanged as an accessory after the fact. Come on.
No, I shall not be hanged as an accessory after the fact. I shall be hanged for murder! That's the only man I've ever loved. Guilty, my lord!
Right. I'm still a bit. And I knew what was happening the whole time. Do you want to come join me?
Yeah.
So, as I said at the start, I directed the show and April here produced it with me. I want to thank everyone in the cast for putting all the effort in.
We're just so proud of everyone.
Yeah. And I was sitting there just.
I mean, in that last scene, we were just like,
We're,
oh
just
my
like,
God.
come on, we're almost there and it's going great. So, I want to thank everyone for coming to see it. Otherwise, it would have just been us sitting in a
it would have
room.
been very awkward.
It would have been very awkward.
No one.
Thank you to our jury for volunteering to sit up with us.
Can I just appreciate Dan's beard?
Do we
right now?
What about me?
Rosie
Your beard,
gave
the beard.
the beard.
I do makeup and the makeup artist.
No, and I just went, oh, sick.
There's someone listening. I just want to thank. I want to thank Rosie and Siobhan. They came into the cast a week ago. To
I
help
literally
plan out
messaged
the
them at like
performance.
midnight one night, and I was like, please just come and do the ensemble, we really need it.
So I want to thank them for coming in and helping. But the whole cast they did a great job, and I don't want to single anyone out because they were all so good. So thank you very much.
So much.
I think that's all I can say as a production team member.
Wow.
There's just one more thing.
Yeah. We want to thank Dan and April for being such good to us.
Thank you, everyone.
Let's all stand together for a picture.
Oh, we'll get your picture.
Right, someone's at the back.
Stage, that's where I'm going. Main character.
Thank you, Sean.
Oh my goodness, you guys are so silly.
Tell me about it.
Oh my gosh.
Now, as president rather than director, I just want to. I just want. I just want to say thank you for coming. Your support in society is what keeps us running. We have another show. There are some of my cast in that show, including and production team, called Chapter. It isn't in this building. It's going to be in the library theatre up the way. That's on the 6th of February. There's 2 dates. Is it the 6th and 7th or 5th and 6th? It's the start of February. But it will be posted on our social media. So please come along and support us again. And I hope you enjoyed this production. Thank you very much and have a safe journey home.
Yeah, so